we're back again here on Friday. It is March the 31st, and we've got Casey sitting here with me, and also we have my wife, Carrie.
Hi.
Sitting in on us today, and so we're going to talk a little bit about what are we at the end at week 2?
Week 2. Last day of week 2 was yesterday.
The last day of week 2. All right, I'm going to let Casey take off and kind of tell you what we've been doing in the past this week. And we did post the second video and sit down that we recorded last Thursday. I did not get it posted, I think, till Monday due to being out of town. But you guys can check that out and be sure to subscribe to either one of Casey or I's YouTube channels, and it should give you a notification when we post new content. All right, Casey. So how did this week go?
So you asked me at the end of the last conversation when did I think I was going to be able to get a ride on her?
Yes.
And I had told you that since you were going to be gone all weekend, that my intent was that on Monday, when you got back to the barn, that we'd be able to do a passenger lesson on her.
Right.
And I met the timeline. I met the deadline.
Yes.
We got... I did work all weekend. I say we because I include Sandra Dee in that, bless her heart. But Monday morning, I think it was Monday morning, you got to the barn. I worked her for a little bit, and we went ahead and got the first passenger lesson on her. I feel like it went really well.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything that we didn't expect. She didn't get goosey. She didn't get humpy. She didn't really even squirt out very much. I mean, I think the biggest thing was whenever you took hold of her, she had to come to terms with somebody else handling her, the different feel, the different approach, which, compared to any other two people, there is differences, but there's not huge differences, I don't feel like, between you and I, but she still, there was just enough that she had to come to terms with that. But once she did, I feel like everything went smoothly.
Yes. I agree. I agree. I think it all went really well. And she's been around so much stuff, especially this past week, because it is a busy time of year for us. I mean, we have people in and out of here taking lessons. We have cattle in the barn all the time, in and out. That doesn't seem to bother her, does it?
No.
No. And she's still out in the pasture doing well with in population out there with Ruby and Lucy.
No more incidences. Like she only got protective that one day.
One time, yeah.
And then after that, she's been good.
Yeah, she's settling in really nice. We're going to change that dynamic a little bit. I'm getting ready to move those two mares, and I'm going to bring in a couple of brood mares in, and I need them here handy to see if they come in heat or not. So I think we're going to put Audrey and Farrah in with her here coming pretty soon.
Which
so that'll be interesting.
Match her height.
Yes.
They match her height just a little better opposed to the two little mares that she's in now. So it will be interesting to see that dynamic. So
something else that we've done different on this horse than any others that we've done before here and starting under saddle is you've got on her every time from a mounting block.
Yes. Because I didn't want to, with everything being so virgin with her, I didn't want anything to happen as far as my toe getting in her and causing any bad experiences at this point in time. So I feel like we talked about last time also working her off of the top of the fence so she could see me from above, and I think that helped a lot with the mounting block. But I felt like she's taken it well.
She's taken it really good. Yeah, there's been no problem with that. And when you do all the fence work from letting them see you from above and everything, I think that takes a lot of the worrisomeness of them out when that happens. So today is Friday. Yesterday, what did we do for the first time? Yesterday
was our first solo ride. So we did passenger lessons Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Again, with everything being so virgin to her, we wanted to take 3 passenger lessons really is unheard of with most of the colts that come in here.
Yes.
But with her, we just wanted to make sure that there wasn't any stone left unturned as far as that goes.
Yeah.
And then yesterday we started online, and then you threw the Makati at me. No.
Pretty much.
No. And we got an offline ride. We walked, trot, loped. She is, I don't know if I want to use the word lazy, but she does lack a little bit of impulsion as far as the lope goes. But that trot, I mean, she picked up different levels of the trot.
Oh, she can trot.
Yeah.
Yes. She trotted, and we have some footage, but we'll play on that. She trotted. I've never seen a colt here trot like this, but if
she is 7.
She is 7.
She is draft
But,
probably mixed in there. That makes a difference.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, she could trot. I mean, Casey, we were urging her up into the lope, and this horse was hauling the mail trotting. And I don't think I've ever seen one trot that fast in this barn. It was pretty crazy.
Tangi called her on one of my posts. She called her Long Legs Louise, I think is what she called her. Yeah. And I mean, the trot felt good. It wasn't beat you to death. It wasn't a choppy.
She looks light-footed, especially for a horse that size, and maybe not, obviously not bred for anything specific. She's a lot lighter on her feet than I would have expected her to be.
Yes. I can remember the first passenger lesson, and we picked her up to a trot, and Jason said, I was like, oh, that's nice. And he went, for real? It's like, yeah, it's light. Like it's not, she doesn't feel off balance. She feels very much up on all 4 feet.
She tracks under herself well.
Yeah.
I think as far as someone that's not, I don't get to be at the barn every day. And as far as with Bing, I got to see the end product and how nice he ended up and good-minded and quiet and broke. Where does this mare compare to where Bing was on this journey at this point in time?
I think pretty similar. I will say, because I was on Bing on day 10, and I ended up getting on her day 11, I think. Day 11, day 12, something like that. So it was right there at about the same time. The only thing I will say is also, like, I was getting first rides on Bing. He had his teeth done. He was getting his, he got his first set of shoes, I think, at the 2-week mark. Because he was a little tender-souled. She is a little more, not in a bad way, but a little more guarded of her feet. And a little more guarded of like, because here in a minute, you're going to go up to her and you're going to pet her whenever I bring her in and touch her. And you'll see that she's just a little more guarded of that different approach than Bing was.
But she comes around fast.
She does.
Yeah.
She does.
Yeah.
And I feel like as far as training wise, she's probably pretty close to where he was.
And you're seeing kind of the same signs mentally, like taking it as well, searching as well.
So she searches more than Bing did.
She definitely searches way more, and she doesn't show a lot of emotion.
No,
it's not like a lot. Sometimes your mares, what you run into is you either get a mare like this, or you get a mare who in the beginning, kind of like Greta, more penny-eared, penny-eared, swishy-tailed, and is a little more reluctant to go forward. And that's where a lot of people, I think, get in trouble with mares. They're very smart, and they don't address that very quick and get them freed up and thinking forward. Get their mind malleable so you can move them around and manipulate, not really manipulate, but to make them teachable and kind of mold the mind into where you can teach them anything you need to, and they'll search. And this mare, I haven't seen any emotion out of this mare.
No, I think the most that we had was yesterday whenever I was moving her around, her front end around a little bit. She got a little penny-eared on one side, but I just kind of bared with her and waited her out, and she quit quickly. Bing, he was very laid back. He was just like, whatever. Like, let's just do this thing so I can be done. and she is, hey, you need to tell me why this is a good idea. Like, you need to tell me, you show me how this benefits me, and I will be happy to do it for you. And it's, I mean, her try is more so than I would say Bing was. Bing was just very forgiving, very laid back. As Jason said, I am not going to be able to make mistakes on this mare.
No.
I'd heard that before. I have to say too, so I haven't been here since she's been turned out. And then when I went through with you to feed this morning and she's out with those other two mares, I was surprised at how calm feeding time still was. I mean, she's obviously the boss mare, but there wasn't a bunch of, nobody was baring teeth and going after anybody. It was still very peaceful. And she seems very confident as far as like a herd mare and a boss mare out there without having to be over the top about it.
Kind of like Fridays.
Kind of like what?
Kind of like Fridays. Boss mare comes in the barn.
Oh.
Ha ha. Oh. So, on this first ride that we turned you loose, go tell everybody a little bit about what we try to get done there and kind of how that looked. There will be some video of that, but kind of tell everybody what we're after, and just kind of how we go about it. And to start with, there's probably going to be some people ask, and we took some close-ups of the head, what we put on their head, the halter that we ride them with. So for years, I rode, and Casey probably did too, in just a rope halter with one lead rope. We didn't even tie it around, have a loop or anything.
Start over their head.
Yeah, just toss it over their head. That's how you go the other way. And now we've got with one of Casey's sponsors and a client of mine, Christy Covington makes Twisted Knot halters. You guys need to check them out on Facebook, and I believe she has a website too, right? Twisted Knot halters. And so these, not only does she sell really high quality rope halters, she also sells this colt starting halter that we kind of came up with, and it has one continuous loop, and then it has a spanker for a lead rope also. So where that's handy is you can go left and right without tossing it over their head, but the biggest thing is you have that spanker up there with you.
That encourager.
Yes, the encourager. Yes. And so those have been really nice, and they have a good feel to them on the headstall, the colts. And the reason we do that versus a bridle, putting a ring snaffle in their mouth, which is next, is in the beginning rides, you never know kind of what's going to happen. And we might have to take a hold of them. And I'd rather take a hold of the nose and pull them around than to take a hold of their mouth.
Well, I mean, that's something that every type of manipulation, every type of cue that she's had has been from a halter to this point. And so I feel like it would be slightly unfair to put a piece of metal in her mouth and say, hey, first ride, this is the stress of the first ride. And I don't care how well you have your horse prepared, it's going to be a little bit of a stressor for every horse that you get on their back. And I'm going to put the stressor of a first ride here. And also, I'm now going to ask you to respond to this piece of metal in your mouth.
Yes. And a lot of times if people don't hang it in their mouth, several works before that, they're so busy mouthing the bridle that they're not even paying attention because they're really concerned about that new thing in their mouth, which I encourage everybody, and we do it here. We hang a bridle in their mouth a long time before we ever pick up on a rein and put it in. After we get done riding them, working them, you can just take a headstall. We have one here without reins on it, and we put it over the halter, tie them up where they're safe, can't get it hung on anything, and they just stand over there and play with it a little bit.
Something I did want to throw in there, Twisted Knot Halters, twistedknothalters.com is her. I wanted to make sure that was in fact her website.
Okay.
And then her Facebook page is Twisted Knot Halters as well.
Yeah, you guys need to check her out. She makes really good products and sells them all over. And like I said, that's what you're seeing us ride the colts with here in the first rides. And so typically, how long do we leave that on typically?
I can sometimes leave it on for too long because I like some of those colts, how they feel in it. But 5 at the minimum, 10 at the most, probably rides.
Yes.
And then, like you said, during that time, like after I get done riding them, that other bridle go on them, and they'll tie as they're drying off, if they're sweaty, as they're resting, being tied, because we tie all of our horses after we ride them. It doesn't matter if they're seasoned broke show horse or 2-year-old colt that we're starting. They all get tied after they ride, and that's just kind of their letdown time, and they do it with a bridle.
Yes. All right. So what's the coming week looking like? What are you looking to in the progression? What are you looking at in this coming week?
So I will start hanging the bridle in her mouth. She's been a little guarded about her mouth. And so I've taken that part very slow. And with how, I mean, she came off of that halter super well yesterday. Like disengaged. I was impressed, which you were in the middle moving me around.
Sure.
But it was the slightest lift. And she was absolutely responsive, even guided around well with it a little bit, which we don't do a lot of guiding in the first stride, but I kind of just kept her on the left-hand circle or kept her on the right-hand circle. And the way she responded, I don't have any qualms about keeping her in the halter. But hanging the bridle in her mouth will come this week. More feet stuff. So her front feet, she's gotten pretty darn good with. I've been roping her back, and so I say that I'm not jerking her feet out from under her, I promise.
Tell us how that works.
So I rope her. She stands tight at a wall. I rope her from behind, and it's it's literally just tossing the loop up on her hip so that she gets used to somebody behind her and stuff coming at her from behind her.
Right.
And then I will get a foot, and all I ask is I will slightly pull the tension out of my rope, and I just ask for her to give the foot, to lift it up. And as soon as she lifted up, doesn't matter how dramatic they are in the beginning, as soon as they lift it, I release.
Because it can be dramatic.
It can be very dramatic. And then by the time that you're done with it, the goal is that you can put that foot where you need to. So, and normally that's in a resting position, cocked behind her on the toe. And she's doing really well with that. So I don't foresee her back feet I don't foresee it take very long to get them as well. And then I do need to, I would like to get her out as quickly as possible. So we're going to do some more introducing Carrie's favorite thing to tell me is to lay poles down in the pen, and every day move them, trot over them, lope over them from day one. And so I feel like I need to do a lot of changing up for her. And so that will be how our rides start to unfold. And then the impulsion's a big deal. So you helped me yesterday.
Yes.
And you've been helping me online. And need to have you help me today with that. Just because she's used to somebody in the middle driving her impulsion, asking her to speed up. But me on her back bumping her sides, that's still something that she's just a little unsure of. So having that presence that she's aware of and knows how to respond, and then add it to my cues, that I feel like that'll help progress it a little bit more. But I need to get the impulsion from her back this week as well. And then we can really, like the guiding, we can really start working on it. And once that stuff's good, then maybe I can get her out, maybe in the outdoor, even if it's just working her online, and then coming in here and doing the ride, just changing her environment every day, all day.
Yeah, keeping her mind thinking and pliable.
Yes.
What questions do you have, Carrie? Because you're not around here as much, and you basically come in on Fridays and help with lessons and help coach and stuff. So what do you have as far as questions?
Well, I mean, I think y'all have covered a lot of it. You know, I don't do cold starting, and I sure don't do Mustangs or any of that. That's not my experience level by any means. So I'm enjoying kind of, learning from this too, and seeing how, she progresses and how you guys take things in stages and stuff. And I think it's coming from the perspective of someone that doesn't do it. It's really interesting to me how, a lot of lay people think you just get on a horse and you kick it and it knows to go. And, I helped Jason start a colt a while back, and I realized that means absolutely nothing to them. I mean, they are literally clean slates that the things that you take for granted don't matter. But I'm excited to see how, as she gets more relaxed, I really think that mare's built to carry herself very well. And now, at what point, and I know you just talked about her being a little more guarded on her feet and stuff like that and kind of her mouth. What do you want to see from her before you start working on the ground portion of your competition?
I actually was getting ready. I was like, oh, I need to touch on that. So Jason helps me with like the colt starting, the everything. I mean, everything as far as training on the ground from her back. Carrie, where she comes into play with this process is anything in hand, which we have a whole preliminary portion that is in hand. So Carrie has to help me with that. So in the next few weeks, we're going to start with that. And then Carrie also helps me be a showman because I'm not a showman.
We have to get you guys out of the colt pen.
I am not a showman. As you'll be able to tell in the video Jason posts, I am in survival mode when I'm on those colts for the first few times. Like my feet are... He sent me a screenshot and I went, oh my gosh, my feet are way out in front of me. I'm hunched down into the saddle and I am definitely in survival mode. And so
as we all would be. Yes.
So Carrie helps me become a better showman. She picks on me when it comes to my riding. And then further on into the training, I remember last year with Bing, like I was really having a hard time with the transition from the extended down to the jog. And I was getting very frustrated one day. Jason was out in the outdoor helping somebody. He was doing a lesson, I think, out there. And Carrie caught me at an emotional moment, and she helped me through that. And so both of these folks are big key players in my journey to the EMM, and helping me get my horse ready and broke enough to go and compete. And so they both play their parts. Both super helpful, and I couldn't do it without them. That's for sure.
Well, that is super sweet. But I know I speak for Jason and I both. We're really enjoying getting to kind of watch you on this journey. I didn't know anything about Mustangs, period, before this, and I still don't know a lot. But I've learned a lot from Bing, and getting to watch you go do the EMM with him was really fun. I really enjoyed that. And what you guys achieve in 90 days or whatnot, I mean, that is insane. I'm telling you, I wouldn't even, if it was left to me to my own devices, I wouldn't even be on their backs in 90 days.
I mean, and not to mention Carrie, they also travel halfway across the country to help me at the show and make sure I'm put together and all that too.
It's fun. We really enjoy it.
Yeah, we do enjoy it. It's a great journey, and we enjoy all of it. Casey does a good job, and she's continuing to do a good job with this Mustang too, as she did on Bing. And all right, so I think we better sum this up here a little bit, and we hope you guys enjoy the video and our conversations here. We'll continue to try to have them, like I said, once a week, barring anything crazy happening. And guys, go ahead and check us out. Like I said, like and subscribe on the YouTube channels, and try to follow us on our Facebook also. And it's Riding for the Brand on Facebook, correct?
Ride for the Brand, horse
or
training, yep.
Casey Collinsworth, and then Jason Cook or JC Horsemanship. You can find me on Facebook also. Then our YouTube channel, mine is JC Horsemanship, and yours is?
I'm pretty sure it's just under my name, Casey Collinsworth.
Yeah. And you guys can check us out, and we hope you enjoy it. And ask questions. We'd be happy to answer any of your questions, and feel free to comment or anything. And I guess until next week, we will see you guys or talk to you again 1 week from today, hopefully on Friday, and we'll try to get this thing posted on the weekend. Thanks for joining us.